Hi guys, and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for watching today. I'm glad you clicked on the video and I'm glad that you're here. Today our video is the kind of unofficial end of the sandwich series. Now there are a ton more sandwiches that I definitely could have highlighted, but I could be going all year on this if I did all of the sandwiches that there are. But what I wanted to touch on today is basically diving into what the elements of the best sandwich ever are. So one of the first things I would say is when you are making a really good sandwich, the basis of that starts with really good bread. There are so many different types of bread and rolls that you can use, and they all have different strengths and weaknesses, I guess I would say. So Italian bread, a classic, a really, really solid, good base for a sandwich. Sourdough bread is really good as well. Even if sourdough isn't necessarily the first thing that you tend towards, a lot of times that sour taste of the sourdough, it's gonna give a little something extra to your sandwich. So that's worth looking into. What about breads like rye bread, like we used for our Reuben sandwiches? That's got a different taste to it than most of the breads that you're used to. And of course, even just a really good homemade bread is gonna just amplify that sandwich. So starting with a good bread base is going to help to ensure that whatever sandwich you're making is going to be phenomenal. Not only do we want to start with a good bread base, we also want to make that bread a little bit better. So if you're making a hot sandwich, what I will do a lot of times, as you saw me do in the videos, is I will put a little bit of butter, just a very light coating of butter onto whatever bread I'm using, and I will toast that in a skillet. What that does is it basically creates a little bit of a crispy golden crust on the interior of your sandwich, and that is really, really good. And that extra little bit of warmth, that extra little bit of caramelization, Maillard reaction, toasting thing that's going on there is really, really good. And if you're using condiments with it, like a mayo, anything else you would be using with that, any kind of condiment like ketchup or, mustard, what have you, it's going to kind of like melt into that a little bit. And that sounds really weird, but it is very, very tasty. So top tip there, if you have the time, the means, the willpower to do it, a little bit of toasting with some butter in a skillet really, really bumps the flavor up. So the next thing, and I kind of just touched on it a little bit, would be something like a condiment, a mayo, a sauce to put on your sandwich. And I know that this is a little controversial because there is a subset of people that really, really do not like mayo. And taking that into account, you don't have to use mayo, but it might be a good idea to try adding something onto your sandwich. You don't have to go with mayo if you really are against mayo, but adding some form of sauce element onto your sandwich. The best sandwiches I can ever remember eating that I didn't make are sandwiches that had sauces on them or a sauce to dip them in. So that is really worth considering, and it's a really easy step. It's not hard to do at all. I just get like a small little bowl from my kitchen pantry, throw a little bit of mayo in there, maybe a little bit of Greek yogurt, and put some spices in there. It's not hard. Usually you can just like go and look on the door of your fridge and you're gonna find something that you can put together to spice up a sandwich. So that would be my next tip, is just make sure that you are taking consideration for condiments for your sandwich, because it will really actually change the end result of a sandwich if you are smart with that. Now, my next top tip for you is to use a good quality meat. And I think that this one kind of goes without saying, but if you can control the quality of the meat that you're putting in your sandwich, it's automatically going to make you a better sandwich. And don't be limited by deli meat. So, of course, you can find higher quality deli meat and go with that. And depending on the type of sandwich that you're looking to make, that is very likely potentially the best option for you. But don't be limited by that. Consider the fact that you can use, I guess for lack of a better term, I would call them whole meats. Like when you have turkey leftovers from Thanksgiving and you make turkey sandwiches out of that, or ham leftovers. Consider the type of meat that you're using, and if you're doing like leftovers, don't knock out the fact that you could make a sandwich out of a leftover meat. So if you have leftover steak, make a steak sandwich. You might not have cooked it specifically for that meal, but you can still use it as a sandwich. Meatloaf, you can make that into a sandwich. I have made pork loin into a sandwich before, and it was phenomenal. So any kind of meat really that you have left over, you can probably make into a sandwich. So just take into account that you can use a regular cut of meat for a sandwich as well. I think that in general, unless you're just like looking for a very light meal, a snack, in general, I think meals satisfy us more if they're hot, if they're warm. It gives us like an extra comfort level, like an extra comfort buff, if we have a warm and satisfying meal. So I think it pays to take that to our sandwiches too. Not everything, of course, like the sub sandwiches that I made, those are cold sandwiches. Those are meant to be cold sandwiches. It would be weird if I heated that up. But there are quite a few options for sandwiches where if you warm that filling and then like put some cheese on top of that and get that all nice and melty, that's just going to be much more satisfying than just some cold cuts on a slice of bread. So warming it through, really good idea, and it doesn't take long. Just throw it in a skillet, put some water in there with it, put a lid on it, let it steam for a couple minutes. It'll be fine. And moving on, the next thing would be cheese. Lots of it. Melty cheese, delicious cheese. So this is similar to the bread element. This is something that is standard for sandwiches. If something is covered in cheese and it's melty and gooey, like your cheese endorphins are going off. Mozzarella is a really solid contender, like a fresh mozzarella that they sell like in the logs that comes like in the water. That is going to be superior meltiness, like creamy goodness. But I will say mozzarella is a little bit milder on the flavor than some cheeses are, so it may not be your go-to for everything, but if you're doing a sandwich with like very flavorful other ingredients, for example, something like a meatball sub or a pizza sandwich where it's got like tomato sauce on it, the mozzarella is going to be great on there. If you want a cheese with more flavor to it, and I mean, you know your cheese preferences, like you don't need me to tell you which cheese makes your endorphins go off, but just so you have some ideas, if you're making a spicy sandwich, try a pepper jack. If you are making I love pairing like beef sandwiches with a really white creamy cheese, like a farmer's cheese or a Havarti is really, really good, or Munster. I love Munster cheese. I don't eat it enough. So there's a ton of different directions you can go in for cheese, but definitely try to pair up your cheese with your sandwich if you can. And if you have the ability, if you're heating your filling through try melting it, because that is going to make those cheese endorphins really, really happy. So let's talk veggies. Now, you don't have to have veggies on every sandwich you make, but you can use them as a really nice backdrop for your sandwich. In most cases, unless you're doing like a tomato sandwich or a cucumber sandwich, it's not going to be the main event for your sandwich, but you can still use veggies in a really lovely way for your sandwich. A lot of times, a lettuce leaf can get a little bit overlooked, but it can be something that is really good for your sandwich. Like when I dressed the lettuce for our sub sandwiches, it was a vehicle for flavor there, and I do love some shredded lettuce on a sub sandwich. I don't know why, there is just something about it, something that it would be missing without it. And tomatoes. In probably every video you saw me salt the tomatoes, because that is a really quick and easy tip that I learned recently. Just an easy way to make that tomato really shine on your sandwich. And I love tomatoes on sandwiches anyway, but that will just give you that extra little bit of flavor to just take that sandwich over the edge. Cucumbers are something I think is grossly underused in making sandwiches. Cucumbers are really, really good on sandwiches, so don't overlook it. And also, you can consider using veggies in a manner that's a little bit different than just the raw veggie. You can pickle your veggies. You can pickle carrots and put it on a sandwich. You can pickle cucumbers and make pickles to put on a sandwich. You can pickle red onions and make those to put on there. Banana peppers, for example. All of those really, really solid sandwich elements. And that kind of segues into sort of my last tip, which is just to top it off with something phenomenal. And this is a little ambiguous, I get that. But depending on your sandwich, there's probably something that would just throw it over the edge, just make it really, really click on all cylinders. And sometimes that's going to be something acidic, like I said, like a pickle, or like banana peppers, pickled red onions, those sorts of things. Sometimes it's going to be something that's kind of more like in the ooey gooey realm, like the jammy balsamic onions or the tomato jam that we made. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, but just adding that last extra touch onto the sandwich really just kind of caps it off and makes it. That is what I think of as elements to make a really, really good sandwich. You don't have to do all of them. A lot of times I will do all of them if I'm making like a dinner sandwich, but just try incorporating one or two of those things the next time you make a sandwich. If it is as simple as toasting your bread, I bet you're going to see a difference in your tastiness of your sandwich. So definitely, if you are interested, try one or more of these tips. See if it does not make your sandwich experience a little bit more enjoyable, because I think it really will. So I hope that this video was helpful for you. I hope that you got some good tips from it. I am sorry if I rambled. I got a little bit on a sandwich soapbox, so I digress. I will get down now. But if you guys have any tips that you like to do to make sandwiches extra delicious, leave them in the comment box below for me. Or if you guys try one of these tips and notice that it does make a difference on your sandwich, leave that below too, because I would like to know. So, hope that you guys have a phenomenal day, that the next sandwich that you make is extraordinary, and that everything is going really well for you and your family. If there is anything that you need from me, any questions you have, just leave me a comment. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye-bye.